Yeah, we did last year. We did 32.4 million. And I liked having that independent aspect, like even though we talked about with martial arts, that if I was to fail, it's on me. I can't blame anybody else for me not doing something right. Who's going to believe that a 22-year-old straight out of college who looks like she's 15 is going to know anything about real estate to handle the biggest asset that a family member has to know?
There are over 1.5 million real estate agents in the U.S. 87% of agents fail within the first 5 years. I sit down with the top percentile of agents that are killing it in this market right now. We're here to showcase, explain, and most importantly, decode the secrets that have propelled them to the top. What fuels their success? How are they turning their dreams into reality? Get ready, buckle up. This is the Agents with Grit podcast. All right, so we got Tammy Jo and it's Budzynski, right?
Yes, I'm here to Polish man.
Okay, yeah, nice Polish man. So I'm glad you're on. First off, I'm really appreciative of you coming on and kind of talking
Sure.
through everything. I know we're both Michiganders.
Yeah.
You're in Grand Rapids,
Yep. West Side.
and you've been in the business for 20 plus years,
Yep.
and your production has been absolutely killer. You've been consistent where you mentioned about 10 million plus per year is what you're looking at, right?
Yeah, we did last year. We did 32.4 million.
Oh my God. Yeah,
So
that's
you didn't have that as
unbelievable.
one of your little tabs.
Yeah, right. And you said it was 20 plus closings just for you, or was that your brokerage that did that in the
That
last
was just
12 months?
my 32.4 million was just my team.
Okay.
So, and there were 3 agents on that team at that time.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Yeah, so we'll
not as
we'll
good.
get into like the nuts and bolts of it, but I want to get to know
Pick
you.
your
I know
brain.
we've talked a little bit. Obviously, we talked about your Taekwondo background from when you're a young kid,
Yeah.
but can you kind of tell me like where your drive for success like comes from?
All right. Can I be blunt and honest?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a big video game person, but you ever play Mario Kart?
Oh yeah, I played it
Yeah.
yesterday actually.
Okay. I did
My
not. 'Cause I was
daughter loved
working.
it.
One of my all-time favorite games of all time. Just my favorite game. And I consider my life like a time trial. Remember those old styles back then? You always try to beat your time and they can ghost yourself. And
Yeah.
hey, I just did this lap. Let me try to beat the lap I just did. And then you go this way, but I swerved over here. And you learn that the best routes in that game are in the middle, and you steer toward the curve before the curve comes. And you start to get a finesse of playing that game. And that's how I've always run my real estate business and life, is that I'm always trying to do better than I did yesterday. Sorry, that's my dog.
Yeah, no, that's okay. What's your dog's name, by the way?
Oh, that's Miko. He's a
Nico.
Bernese Mountain Dog Poodle mix. Can you see him? Here.
Yeah, oh, cutie.
Yeah, he's a
That's
trip.
your assistant right there,
Oh,
huh?
he comes to the office every day.
Yeah.
If I don't take him, it's really depressing.
So I know, I'm guilty because I've obviously done research and I read some stories about you. You've been out there, you put your name out there, you've been
Yeah.
interviewed in magazines. Can you kind of tell me like what got you into the business and real estate?
I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So
It was college. You got out of college, right?
I
And
did. Yep.
okay.
So I went into college like every good girl does that loves animals, and I'm going to become a veterinarian. And then realized after 2 years of fighting my brain on organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry and biologies that my brain doesn't really like that. Couldn't memorize just flat terms. And so I went and I said, okay, well, let me get into business then and just see where I stand. So caught myself up, still graduated in 4 years, even having changed majors midway. And then right when I graduated, I'm like, all right, well, now what do I do? I have a business degree. What the hell do I do with it? And I come from two generations at that time of builders. So
Mhm.
my grandfather and my father were both builders. And I grew up walking through homes with them, looking at things. I'm very artistic. And so I kind of took that blend of houses and people and called it real estate and said, okay, let me get started. And I liked having that independent aspect, like even though we talked about with martial arts,
Yeah,
that if I was to fail, it's on me.
right.
I can't blame anybody else for me not doing something right.
So what did it look like that first, say, 6 months? Like,
Did you join a team?
The first 6 months of my career?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give you the first 12 months of my career. I got my license in December, and hold on, in 2001, I think it was. I'm going on my 24th year or 25th year in the business. So this is back in the day when the training was pick up a phone book and start making calls. This is really before I'm gonna really date myself. This is really before the date of cell phones. So we were given a pager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're talking, I'm really, really old in this business. And so that's what they told us to do. Pick up a phone book and go to work. And I felt more comfortable with strangers than I did my own family. So yes, I'm Dutch. My original maiden name is Vandenberg. And I had tons and tons and tons of family. But I started building my business on people I didn't know. Because who's going to believe that a 22-year-old straight out of college who looks like she's 15 is going to know anything about real estate to handle the biggest asset that a family member has to know? Right?
Yeah.
Who?
So how did you overcome that it was within the first 12 months, right? You're calling out of...
So I didn't just call out of phone books. I came out of a brokerage. I won't give names, but I came out of a brokerage that was very established, and they didn't have a new person in that building for a very long time. And back in the day, they had these things called floor time. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. It's where
it's like the sale calls are made.
Yeah, it's kind of like they would divvy up the day of the office hours and say, hey, agent on duty is going to have to take these calls that are incoming calls. And if you're lucky, you get a good one. And so because nobody in my office wanted these calls because they all were producing agents, I would sit and wait for these calls to come in while I was making my calls.
Yeah.
And while I was working. And that got me my very first sale.
Okay.
And then I was so excited, I had to tell people in the office.
Yeah.
And then instantly the, agent was upset because they could have had that lead. And I was no longer allowed to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So you were, and how soon into the business was this? Was this within weeks, like months?
No. It took me so I started in December. And after working, I was working 40-hour days in my office, making calls, reaching out, sitting on a floor time. My first sale was 4 months later.
Okay. Wow.
So that's normal.
Yeah.
It's normal to have that much of a delay before you even get business. So agents that are coming to me now say, all right, TJ, I want to get in the business. I said, great. How much money you got saved? What do you mean? It normally takes a few months to get your first sale closed.
Did you know that at the time? I mean, you're a young kid. You obviously have a little bit of a tie to real estate with your parent,
Yeah, and I was living at home in my parents' basement. I was 22 years old. I mean, my only expense was when I first got my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to pick up hours because I still had to pay some bills. I had to pick up hours at a nursing home Saturday and Sunday and Friday nights. Like all the key times of real estate, that's when I was stuck in an old people's home. Met some great people. But I had to make sure I still had an income coming in to offset the hours I was putting in somewhere else where there was no money coming in. But isn't that true for most people?
Yeah. I mean, the easy way out is go and get a salary job, right? And find something that, but like what, did you have somebody that you looked up to that you knew like, hey, like what motivated you? Was it freedom? Was it like money? Like what?
So here's something funny about me. I'm not motivated by money.
Yeah.
I'm motivated by doing a job well done.
Okay.
That's my motivation. Doing a job well done, doing it better than somebody different. And so for me, my motivation was I wasn't going to fail.
Got it.
This was a job for me. This wasn't like, hey, let's go practice at this. Hey, let's go have some fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I get to go to work today and look pretty. It was like, I got to go to work.
Yeah.
This is what I do. And then when you take an attitude of this is what I do, then this is what you do. And every single day has to be a success for that day to get you to the next day.
It's back to that Mario Kart, right? Like you failed the first route, and now it's like, hey, I gotta try it again.
And I was joking with my admin today, and I said, wow, as I'm putting together my call sheet, like how many calls I made last week, I said, wow, did I really suck that bad last week? I only got 10 calls in all last week. Like, that's crazy bad. When the week before I got 200 calls done, she goes, it was crazy week. We have 5 listings going live this week. You had a lot of prep work going on. It was hailing problems.
Yeah.
So I just now, in this 24th year of my career, just now have created a bullet point list that tells me what I have to get done to start my day before my work day starts. Does that make sense?
Okay. So like adjusting a contract or
No, we're
no.
talking just the bare basics. We're
Okay.
talking, I do my Facebook Live at 5:30 in the morning. Has that been done? I have over 40 people that I send out uplifting quotes to every morning,
Hmm.
to my group of people that I've been collecting, past clients, friends. I'm like, hey, I'm having a hard time. Hey, you want me to share this with you in the morning? Yeah, I would love that, TJ. I
Yeah.
have 40, 45 people I text it to every single morning. That's done between 6 and 6:30.
Wow. Okay.
Then, then I check Facebook as a chore for me to see whose birthdays I'm missing. Then I happy birthday all those people. Then I go into my database and I check in, all right, whose birthdays is it today that I can send a quick video text with a happy birthday message. So I have prep work of starting my day off right before most people are even in their office.
Got it. And are these things that have led you to business in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. So the happy birthday on Facebook, like, does that lead to a
Not
different conversation?
necessarily. No, it's not. There's never a direct correlation.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it normally is, oh, TJ said hi. And then when they're talking to somebody 2 weeks later, my name pops up in their head because I was communicating with them. And it wasn't about real estate.
Yeah.
That's the difference,
Mm-hmm.
is being top of mind. And you can't be top of mind if you're sitting behind a desk not talking to anybody,
Got it.
or only talking with them with a mentality of, I'm in real estate. How do you give me a listing so I can make money?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what people want.
So your network has to be gigantic now, right? After
I have a
20.
lot of people that we connect with. And we
Yeah.
just hired our third full-time person to help us stay on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I am out negotiating, and that's what I'm good at closing, I'm good at negotiating, I'm good at being with people.
Yeah.
The admins can help and leverage paperwork and handle all that processing behind the scenes. And then I get called in for problems.
Okay. So you all have your roles.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about like how you got to that point where were you just too busy where you had to
Yep.
bring on new people or and when did that start? Like when
So,
was that transition?
hold on, I'm not good with dates. I always think
Ballpark.
prefacing before COVID, after COVID at this point, or when I had kids. So when I started having children, getting pregnant, and all that kind of stuff, I looked at going, okay, well, what happens when I deliver the baby?
Hmm.
No offense, man, but you don't have to worry about stuff like that. But
Yeah.
when I run a business as a woman, and my husband and I want to have a family, and I am the breadwinner of the family,
Hmm.
I have to take into consideration, how does that affect my world, and not just my world, but everybody's world.
Yeah.
And so we were given a due date, and then I would call agents from my office before I had a team and say, all right, I have showing scheduled back to back all day with these three clients, 4 houses apiece, da 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 da. And I would have backups in line ready to take over for me with a quick call. What agent does that? Think about it. Because my mindset was, even though I'm having a baby, there's a lot of excuse, right? Like if your realtor called you and said, hey, I'm having my baby, I can't show you houses today, you'd be like, oh, congratulations, go, go have fun,
Yeah.
right? My mindset was not that. My mindset was, why should they not be able to see the homes that they were hiring me to do because I had to go have a baby?
Yeah.
So the mindset was different.
Hmm.
And so going through that, and I remember like my final like holy smokes moment was I went into a doctor's appointment at 8 a.m. And I had looked at my schedule, whew, we have a light day today. Then you knock on wood. And I go, whew, that's awesome. 1 hour later, I get out of my doctor's appointment and I go, holy smokes, and text messages had blown up. And I had 4 different buyers wanting to see 4 different houses all in the same night that night.
Wow.
And it was that moment of going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was panicking because I was by myself.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, TJ, don't panic. We'll figure this out. There's always a way to problem solve. And I printed off every single house. I printed off every single thing. And I started doing clumps in my desk. And I went, all right, Who has a deadline? Okay, those can get shipped to another night. Like, and this is how I was formulating this. I went, all right, at that moment, I realized that my business had outgrown what I could physically do.
Right.
It outgrew me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I went to start realizing, all right, I need someone that can help me with showings. And then that led to that conversation, okay, well, now I need help with paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And now that has continued to grow, going, okay, now at this point of my career, we're covering over 125 closings a year. If I'm looking at these numbers, I now need a tripod, like a table mentality in the office, meaning that with the 3 admins that we have that are handling TC work, that are handling listing preps, that are handling buyer in, all this stuff going around and handling mailers behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If I stepped away for a vacation for a week, will it fall apart?
And it hasn't. Obviously, you've built
That or they hit it really well.
Yeah.
But that is that mentality of that if I can step away for a week, if I can step away for a night, and you have to start baby steps like that, how do I create a business that I love? And when I was hitting, like I had 5 listing appointments in 1 week a couple weeks ago, like just bam, 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 like within a few days. And I was like grabbing like a Snickers candy bar to hit me before I walked into the appointment because I was dead. I was up at 5 a.m. and I was still working till 8:39.
Yeah.
And it gave me that extra like oomph of caffeine I needed, the extra rush of sugar for the extra hour I needed to be what my customer needed me to be when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I look at. It's not about who I want to be better than them. I want to be the best I can be, the best person I can service my customers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can tell a customer like, hey, you get me, but I physically cannot be at every single spot at the same time. Would you agree? Well, yeah, it's not physically possible.
Yeah.
Then let my team and I support you so you can now get the best service possible.
And I'm sure you have your qualifications for who's like a good fit for the team, right? Probably good people, energy, and
you want to know my rule?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, my team's rule is I'm not allowed to hire anybody because I like everybody.
Oh, okay.
Because think about that. That's been my job.
Yeah.
My job is to relate, to have fun, to sit down with somebody and have empathy. That doesn't always work when you're looking for people that can work.
Mm-hmm.
And have those characteristics to carry how you handle your customers to your other customers with them.
Got
So
it.
now, like we just hired our 3rd full-time person a couple weeks ago. I did not meet her till the day she walked in.
Really? Well, you liked her, right?
I did, because I naturally like her anyway.
Yeah, right, right.
But that's part of that growth process.
Mm-hmm. I like noticed, and you like TJ, right? Or you go by TJ?
Yeah,
I know it's
I even answered the hey
TJHomes.com.
girl, so it's all good.
Like just talking to you, like I feel this like energy and kind of like, I don't know, aura, kind of love like from you, to where I can see it being very like infectious, where clients are probably like, hey, like you got to go with TJ. Like she's an awesome person, but I'm sure, as you talked about with Mario Kart, like you want to find the best possible way to find the best route to really help the client and make them happy from like start to finish.
Yep.
And I can see like how you've built this referral business. I mean, is it anything else that you're doing? Like, do you have I think you mentioned flyers too. Is there anything else that like attracts?
We're beginning to do some other layers to our business now. And I consider it like a round table with my team. Yes, I make the final decision, but it's not my way or the highway mentality.
Okay, cool.
And because I know that people don't give, I'm going to be very careful. I know that people don't always want to be wrong. People want to have an open space of like, hey, they may be better at this than I am.
Yeah.
And so they have the right to talk to me. Hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And we'll change it and update it like that.
It's an open door policy, right?
And because if I didn't do that, would they feel respected when there's only a couple of us? No, I wouldn't be if my voice was never heard.
Yeah.
So I like to have that angle with it, that mentality with it, that we're a pod together, that yes, we want to grow together, but what's the best avenue for that? I may want to go this way, and they may say, well, what about this? I'm like, oh, all right, I could be wrong. All right, fine. Or maybe we'll try my way later.
Mm-hmm.
Or nope, this one's it. We're going to do this first, and then we'll do yours. So it's kind of that conversation piece, because I want to be a good leader.
Got it. Yeah. You want to show up and bring the energy, and you clearly lead by example. You're still
Lead
out
by example.
selling
And
homes.
even when I sit down with a customer, you're in mortgages. So you could sit down with a customer and say, hey, I know how to do this. You listen to me, I'll tell you exactly what to do. That's not my approach. I do know how to do that. But if I sat down with a customer and said, listen to me, don't do anything else, and I'll take care of it, they're going to be disinterested.
Mm-hmm.
And I always joke around that, do you like building puzzles?
Yeah.
Brad, do you like that?
It doesn't, right? It's nice.
I don't like it. Why cut a perfectly good picture?
Yeah.
But whatever picture we're building together, whether that's a house, whether it's a cottage, whether that's your new dream home, you're moving out of state because your grandkids live in Florida now, whatever it may be, I may not know the exact picture yet, but I know how to build the frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how to get the job done. And I'm not here to fluff you. I'm here to straight talk you. If you want fluff, you can go find somebody different.
Got it. So is it more question based where it's,
yep,
what do you want? What's motivating you? Okay.
Because how can I build that? How can I build a strategy for them if I don't know them?
Yeah. You can't make assumptions, right?
No. Well, you can, but you're going to be wrong.
Yeah. So
there
like
has to be balance.
What's next, would you say? I know obviously your team, you've talked a little bit about it, where like what?
It's a good group. It's a really good group. We're looking at growing a bit now. Business, we can't keep up. Let me rephrase it. Not that we can't keep up. We are missing business because we were at our capacity is the best way to say it.
Okay.
So now we're looking for like-minded people that put people first, because I've always had the mentality, if I take care of people, God takes care of me. And that's never failed me yet.
Mm-hmm.
And never put a paycheck before taking care of people the right way.
Yeah, that's the business we're in, right? It's
I can sleep at night.
Yeah.
Knowing that I did the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Physically meeting with clients is it's just you want the best for them. You know, I had a scenario recently where I physically went. This was an older clientele, and they needed a document signed, and they could not e-sign. So I drove out about 40 minutes away and just physically going in their house, and it was a VA refinance. We dropped their interest rate and talking to them, you know, it just, you really get a sense for like, hey, like this is the person I want to help. I want to close their loan. You want to make sure it's the best experience possible, which you don't always get that if you're working on the phone, right? And you're just talking.
No, you don't. And it's funny because I remember when Dotloop came out and DocuSign and all, I was like, oh, and I was so busy going, I don't have time. I said to myself, I remember where I was in my car and I said to myself, I don't have time to learn something new. And I went, oh my God, did I just tell myself that? Am I the old one in the business? That I refuse to learn something new? Took me 2 seconds to learn it, and then saves you hours and hours. Like, because now you can go to that customer and go, thinking in the back of your mind, going, this took me an hour and 2 hours to get a 1 minute signature that they could e-sign.
Yeah.
But then you balance that with the understanding that most people are going to be doing e-signing, and once in a while you're going to have to do something different.
Right. Yeah.
But but looking at yourself, no matter what business you're in, no matter how long you've been in it, going, if I'm unwilling to learn something new, then I shouldn't be in the business.
Yeah. I mean, 25 years, right? You've probably seen a ton of changes in technology and, you know.
Yeah, it has been a very interesting roller coaster. I mean, and I remember uncovering boxes when we were emptying out my parents' and my grandparents' house of the old index cards from real estate before homes were online. So you look at I'm still trying to find more so I can do like a wallpaper in my office with them. But you look at things like that and you go, wow, how far did we come? And if the real estate professional back in those days, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, all the way through as the internet started to kind of get picked up into the 90s, is that there was no MLS that was like a Zillow. There was no, realtor.com. There was no homes.com. All these things were not present.
Mm-hmm.
The only source of information that a potential buyer or seller could do was to go to their realtor to get access to those cards, physical cards in their office.
Yeah.
And so now, how does real estate, realtor professionals become relevant when most of the time when a customer goes out to look at a house that they like, they've already researched it for 2 hours before you even get there?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one like 10 years ago turned to me and they goes, well, TJ, you don't know this? I went, absolutely not. They're like, what do you mean? I said, we're seeing 10 homes today. Do you think that I have time to do that kind of level of research on 10 homes before we know which ones you liked yet? No, I don't have that kind of time until we start narrowing it down, and then I'll start doing my research.
Got it. Yeah, back to question based, right?
Yeah, because it's for them, that buyer, it's their new hobby.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to. It's their new hobby. This is not my hobby.
Right.
And then they would laugh just like you did, going, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
My realtor isn't, incompetent. My realtor is busy working. And then when we start narrowing it down, then they'll start doing the research that they need to have done and prepare for us.
Got it. Okay.
So it's having people understand those levels to get you to that next level. Does that help?
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But this is all in the beginning, right? As opposed to chasing your tail and showing multiple homes, and you're efficient.
Well, and I realized
you have to be efficient now. I mean, with how busy you are.
Well, I don't know about that, but I look at in the very beginning how much I was saying the same things over and over again. Same stuff to the buyer, same stuff to the buyer, same stuff to the seller. So I started writing it down. And then I created a book out of it. So they would get my buyer's book when we would sit down. And I did more meetings at McDonald's back in the day, or, by the hood of a car to explain something that no other real estate professional had taken the time to do.
Yeah. Education, right?
It's education. So by the time that this NAR settlement hit us in August, yeah, I'm nervous because it's something different. But here I am with a group of high-end realtors in my office in the area. They're all nervous. They haven't done buyer agency contracts. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Nothing's changed for me. Same contracts.
So you had them before already?
Oh yeah, we always used them. Always used them.
Okay. Oh wow.
Nothing's changed. How we explain things, how we do stuff, everything's the same. And then I had an appraiser call me a couple of weeks ago. He goes, well, Tammy Jo, are you worried about lawsuits now against realtors? I said, about what now? Because there's always something, right? And he goes, well, that they can come back to you because you didn't explain to your clients where these monies were going for commission. I said, not one bit am I worried. And he's like, why is that? I said, for the last 10 years, I've had my clients sign a seller net sheet that showed a breakdown of those expenses for every single listing.
That's beautiful.
Because one thing happens and you learn from it or you don't.
Yeah.
And because I learned from it, I went, well, I'm not going to do that again. I'll make sure my client signs it every time.
Yeah.
And then even when I helped my brother, never work with family, right? Even when I helped my brother sell his house years ago, he called me up and got ticked off. This isn't the amount of money you told me about. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It was a one click of a button. Really? That wasn't what I explained to you? Reread this that you signed. Guess what problem was done?
Yeah. Wow.
Because there was confirmation about what he had agreed to the minute that we went moving forward under contract together. Because I had proof it was sent because he signed it.
Yeah.
And if he didn't sign it, what would that have meant?
A terrible experience for him, and
we wouldn't have moved forward because he didn't sign my paperwork. But he had agreed to a term, and now is changing that.
So now you have your system with like this is one thing, right?
Constantly changing system, but yes.
But you're constantly evolving to become better and better.
Because I'm never going to be the old one.
Yeah, the old dog, right? What's that?
Old dog. Yeah.
Old dog, new tricks. Yeah. So you
got to learn. You have to learn. And if it takes me winning the day every single day makes you successful, then I want to focus on winning the day.
Mm-hmm.
This morning, I was on my Facebook Live every morning. My Facebook Live was, okay, it is 5:30 in the morning. I'm late getting on my walk because I was up for 2 hours problem solving it last night from 1 to 3 in the morning. So I'm moving slow, but my winning the day is I'm taking my steps and I'm walking the dog. And sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes it's not like business, business, business. Sometimes it's about, hey, where was I struggling? And what have I made a change in my life to make that better?
Awesome. That's great. So how can people find you? I know Facebook Live you do, like you seem to be all over from the
I
research
didn't
I've
think
done.
so. Can I ask how you found me?
Yeah, through email. Just
Okay.
I'm able to search data on closings.
Mm.
There's a website that I'm part of. It's called MMI,
Okay.
and I'm able to pull just all the data of real estate agents that have closed a certain amount of business within the last
Right.
12 months.
Okay.
So, and your name, obviously your email, all your information was on there.
Yeah.
So,
So that's true of everywhere else. If you look up Tammy Jo Budzynski or TJ Holmes, you'll find me. I'm trying to think here. Facebook is also TJ Holmes. And I also have a personal Facebook page. So I also have another web property that we're working on, my husband and I, for like a whole restoration project. That's the Vanderjack. So there's a lot of community focus that we're working on right now.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know I left something out too. Are you still doing the plant a tree?
We had to stop over COVID, but we're in the process of getting that rebooted back up again for
Okay,
Plan for the
can you
Future.
explain that real quick, what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah. So I had those little lightning strike moments. I was at a closing, like it was like 2 years before COVID hit. And I went, wow, we're using a lot of paper. And I said, well, what would happen if we started giving back to what we're using and planting trees for all the paper we're using? So I started a nonprofit called Plant for the Future that we donate $35 per closing. And it wasn't just my team, wasn't just me, it was other agents as well. And we were able to support over $15,000 in 1 year to the Mayor's Greening Initiative in Grand Rapids. So it was really starting to take off. And then COVID hit, and then, life just stopped.
Mhm.
We kept working, but everything extra was kind of put on pause. And so now I reached back out to my marketing person and said, hey, I'm ready to get this really starting to advertise again with our website to show how important it is, because with greenery and life, as the best way to say it, if we can reinvigorate our cities by putting money back in by planting trees, those are rewards that are going to benefit us for years to come and
Mhm.
increase values years to come.
Hmm.
So it's me being dorky.
Well, you're awesome, TJ. Seriously, like I've enjoyed our conversation. So
Oh, thank you.
I want to thank you for obviously coming on, and I want to thank listeners because I know how to get a hold of you. They know how to get a hold of you
Yeah,
if they can reach out. I know you're
of
already
course.
pretty busy as it is, but I just want to say thank you for coming on. My podcast is ultimately growing, and I want to continue to talk with agents like you.
Mhm.
Um, we're on social media now, or we will be when we're launched here. But agents with grit, and I want to thank you again, TJ, for coming on board and talking us through this. And it's really good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, no problem.